Only, excuse me, I'm talking out of turn, but it was only the commercial issue was brought up by Councilmember Kay
Correct.
at the last minute, because we did have it in mind industrial originally. So that was just a consideration that we wanted to think.
If nobody has any questions about a ban on medical marijuana, do we need to revisit it? Or can that go forward to council for a vote?
To council.
If we
Would council members be comfortable voting on that one now, or do you want more research on the medical side before we take any action on that? Anybody got a?
Go ahead. I was going to say that based upon the consideration of the city attorney's position, the fact that the state has no regulations related to medical marijuana, and I don't see us, especially in light of what we just got back from the planning commission, going to see any established rules, guidelines for us to deal with medical marijuana, unless we're just going to carte blanche them right along with the processing and sales of I-502. But that would fall all on us then, and not the state, for regulation control. Right now, most of what I understand is the state's going to be responsible for the regulations and the controls of the processing and the sales. We're going to have to deal with the perimeter issues, be it the traffic, the potential of the negative impacts or whatever, and militia policing, as well as uncontrollable, marijuana freaks running around the streets naked, whatever. But I'm just saying, that's the kind of stuff that we as a city are going to have to deal with, and not deal with the regulations. Reefer madness and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I would say, when you take the marijuana issue, that we have met all the necessary requirements and everything else. Let's vote on it and cross one off the list. Rather than just keep talking about it and talking about it, we're wearing this thing out.
What I'd like to do then.
I'll die before we do that.
No, say that.
Sure, might get terminal.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do then is maybe propose to council that we go ahead and separate these two for consideration at the next workshop, and have that other ordinance for consideration at the workshop, and then you can at the workshop decide to move it forward for the ban and vote at the regular meeting. Because we don't have it in front of us right now to be discussing exactly what the verbiage is. I mean, it might be in the package, but it's not really on our agenda tonight.
We do have medical.
Yeah, medical.
That's the proposal is to move it forward.
Well,
It's in the package.
We should be able to move it.
okay, because I just want to make sure that we have the proper public notice out there that that's what's going to be, that's this discussion, and it's going to be on the agenda for Monday, Tuesday.
Would it make sense then to say the pleasure of council on the medical marijuana issue is for the mayor to check with the city attorney and make sure we have all the necessary I's dotted and T's crossed to bring it forward on the medical ordinance?
You see what I'm saying? It's not listed here as an ordinance for discussion on tonight's agenda. That's what concerns me, is moving it forward to be voted on at Monday's meeting.
So what was your goal of this whole discussion then? If this wasn't
Be
prepared
aware of what...
to go to next week, why?
This is a discussion item to be aware of what planning commission has proposed, and for council to decide what action to take from here, or how you want to proceed with this. I'm just not sure. I hadn't anticipated that part of it, and I guess I'm just a little nervous about moving that ordinance forward to a vote when it wasn't listed on here as a discussion item to move, for that ordinance. It's not listed as an ordinance number on our workshop agenda. I suppose we can move it straight to the agenda on Monday night with the ordinance number on it. I will ask the attorney, but I just am concerned.
Given the issue, And given that it's not listed out on the agenda, I think it needs to wait until the next workshop and then move forward from there.
But we've introduced ordinances the night of and voted on it. There's no law requiring how many readings. We've certainly read this more than twice. And I'm not rushing into it. If the attorney says no, then no. My only thing is, if you're going to talk to her anyway, Vic had added something in there about he had additional restrictions to the medical one, not only banning what she had recommended, but also banning home growing and that kind of stuff. So did that make it in here? My concern with that, if it did, is how do we police that? Like, now we're creating all kinds of regulations that we can't enforce anyway, so.
We need to follow the
You're
state
bringing
rules.
for it. So do you see maybe bringing it, having those things added to that and then bring it to the next workshop if you want these items added to that, or do you want to just bring it up on next Monday? Because here's my other concern, is just looking out for the city and covering all our bases, is there are lawsuits out there for the ban, and making sure that we do everything by the book per procedure, that we don't miss anything, is my concern. Probably so, but I want to at least make sure that we take all the necessary, all the steps we can to protect the city.
If, Vic proposed that, but did we vote on it? Did we?
No,
So,
it wasn't even really discussed.
that was just, it was talking. That doesn't make it so. So, and we really need to follow the state recommendations for it.
I think I agree with what you're saying. He made it, I want to make sure if it's in here that we need to know what to expect.
Yeah.
His motion wasn't seconded.
Yeah, that's right, we did second it.
Yeah, it's already, it's not.
It was silent, yeah.
Josh, let's quit, we'll be here till midnight. We've given Leanne enough information. Go to the attorney and get back with us. And if the attorney says that we can bring before the next meeting and whatever, then Leanne can get with Amy, and we can have it on the agenda, and we can vote on it. Because we're not gonna be able to decide anything here. All we're gonna do is keep confusing her. She makes a note, and we wanna change that, cross that off, and, no, let's do this. I mean, we're wasting time.
We could be talking about fences or something. Check the shoreline master plan.
Or garbage.
Or garbage.
Okay, so that, is everybody comfortable with that, or, we have to do it, Lee?
Yeah.
Restate the issue?
Alrighty, so, next item on the agenda is Resolution 2014-197, authorizing execution of contract with Parametrix for interurban trail design and permitting services in the amount of $186,918.
Or we could be talking about interurban trail design. What you're passing around the room now is a late-breaking revision to the scope of work and budget I received today around after 4 o'clock. And I made copies. I tried to understand what I was looking at. I included an email correspondence. And I think the last, this is from Jennifer Dvorak. It's on the second page of this new handout. It says, "Hi Paula and Jen, please find attached budget and scope. Note that the attached scope of work is updated slightly from what you previously received last week, as it removes the BA/BE study. This study is not essential to some of the jurisdictional determinations quite yet. I'll have to look in my notes to find out what the BA/BE is. Keep in mind that if task 3 seems high, this work directly transfers to work to be done in future unscoped phases and will defray some of those costs. Paula also noticed caveats in the email chain below. I didn't want to surprise the city with the future discovery that more environmental work was required. Indeed, there is. So I'm gathering that it's going to cost a little bit more than originally anticipated to do this work.
More than we can afford.
Has this been a committee yet?
I'm not sure, but, in this latest email, Carol hasn't seen it yet.
Carol responded on the second page. I kept her note here. And this is, I believe, what precipitated this. That Carol Morris, Jim, as I said in the previous emails, my major concern is that everything...
She hasn't seen this.
Oh, she has not seen the revised
No.
on the scope. So this is just new information, and I'm afraid it's probably not very helpful right now.
No.
This time sensitive?
Yeah, it is, but,
Yeah, they want to start the design process this month, so that they can get it done by July 2015 in time to be, we wouldn't be out bid yet, I don't think. I think we'd be going ahead with the next phase of planning. What do you mean? This is the final thing.
this is just
Oh,
the
this is final
design.
design, that's right, final
Just the
design.
design.
So, yeah, it wouldn't be in the final design. Well, except that Task 3 environmental permitting is not included in
Exactly, so that
And
is
so
different than this code.
So there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
additional expense in there, but they still want to get it done in the 11 months.
Part of my understanding is that some of what is putting pressure on this is the fact that we've had some funding that Jim Morgan is trying to retain, towards design for this project. And I believe it'll be helpful to have him really flesh it out for you if you move it forward to your next meeting, and he can really review this with you.
Yeah, I think we need to have a discussion with them before we can move this forward.
I know that several years ago, Parametrix began doing some preliminary design, and so we do have some of this information that is probably useful towards the creation of the trail. I also included some aerial photographs that might be helpful, showing the segments of the trail that are built and that segments of the trail that will be built by private developers as part of their project. So it's just probably too much background information, but hopefully you can cull something from it for now, and Jim can illuminate you.
So move this forward to the next workshop, or send this to, do we have time to send this to committee and get it back by next workshop? Committee meeting is...
We don't have any staff, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kim's been really sick, he's been in the hospital most of the night.
We have one, need Jim.
Yeah, let's send it back to Jim, and then our next workshop will be after Jack is on board too, right? Dave Jackson's on board. Oh, that's right. So he might not have time to research this a little bit more. In our conversation, Jim and I had a conversation, he was a little concerned about some of this coming back and it being a little bit more and probably closer to the $300,000 range. That's what his concern, and now seeing this email and thinking we may have gotten there, so we need to have that conversation before our council sees this today.
There will be that.
All righty, so let's see it when we get that information. All righty, next on the agenda. Let's see, we have marijuana, we have...
Waste management.
Waste management, understanding composting fee increase.
So on advice from council, we need to take this back to staff, because council wants to make this an amendment to the contract, not a letter of understanding. And we have to look into the timing. The attorney, I mean, council, as I meant, attorney, sorry. COUNSCESEL. So anyway, the attorney wants to do that, and also we have to look at the timing, so we're working with Waste Management on that. Okay? So any questions?
Move that forward to whenever we get it back to us?
You'll bring it back next workshop.
Okay. H, discussion.
First thing is, at our public safety meeting, we had a lot of staffing, and it was referred to finance committee. Did finance committee come up with anything, or?
We may next week.
We meet next week.
We haven't had a meeting
No,
yet.
It's supposed to be tonight, right?
No, next week. So it's the second Tuesday.
Okay. Well, I had something alarming last week, and I went over here to our little store next door, which I've lived next door to for a couple of years, and here I see that there's bars on the windows and the doors. You know, I could never believe that in our town, a block and a half from our police station, everything else, that we are merchant. We have to put bars on the windows and the doors. I mean, anybody that thinks that our staffing is adequate, I think better rethink their thinking a little bit. I mean, because just a couple, three examples here. If an officer gets on like a domestic violence call or something else, today, the law says somebody has to be arrested. Anyway, and so that takes the officer 3 to 4 hours out of service, depending on what the circumstances are. And we have approximately, roughly about 10 of those a month. DUI, that takes an officer out of service for about 4 hours, by the time they transport him and everything and go through all the paperwork and so forth. And we have, depending on 5 or more of those a month, warrants, arrests. That takes an officer out of duty from 2 to 3 hours. And we have approximately about 45 of those in a month. So in turn, we got a 12-hour shift. If he picks somebody up on a warrant arrest, there's 3 to 4 hours out of his 12-hour shift that he's not even available because he's transporting or doing paperwork or whatever's connected with that particular arrest. So we have to get some more staffing. We had over the weekend, Valley Recycling, a fellow broke in, attempted to get a safe out with a forklift. That didn't work. He went across the street, stole a truck, brought the truck back over, backed the truck into the backside of the building, winched the safe back up onto the truck, and left with a safe and a truck with about roughly, I don't know, $30-some thousand even probably in that safe. Luckily enough, someplace, I don't know all particular, the truck ended up in a ditch, and everything was recovered with no loss. But, I mean, we've got to have staffing. And it's got to be there. I was somebody new coming into town and wanting to, think maybe I'm going to settle someplace with my family. I drive into town, I see a police station, City Hall, and, this is a nice little town. I stop at the store, I'm gonna get myself a pop or something, and I walk in, and geez, there's bars on the doors and windows, and I say to myself, what do I do, make a wrong turn in for Rainier Avenue? I mean, and he was justified that he had to put those on, because the window was broke out on his door, and they apparently made some kind of attempt to maybe get the cash machine out, whatever their intent was, but still, he had to do it to protect his, he's not just doing it because he thinks he might get broke in, he got me. So, I would like to just bring the concern to the council, and I think we need to take some real immediate action.
Well, I know it's on the agenda for the finance next meeting, the discussion item, so, based on the last time it was.
And just want to make you aware of the happenings over the week.
The budget stuff coming up, so. Alrighty, item I, Third Avenue.
The paving or chipping started today, and it was from 7 to 5. I hit Butte and Third at 5 after 7 this morning, and there were these huge trucks, huge, and I could not see past them, and I kept inching out. I've got a guy there holding a sign, smoking a cigarette, talking to a girl, and I finally rolled down the window and I said, "Is it clear?" And he went, "Duh." Really? Okay. So I go to go out, and a car comes by. Wow, okay, I almost got hit. So after he went, I went around the corner and went down, I don't know, before the police department, and there was another guy standing over the sign, and I let him have it. He said he was in charge. That was his first mistake. And I told him he needed somebody down there directing traffic. He said he did, and I said, yeah, we met. And I told him that he needed to go down there and do something because, like I said, this truck was the size of a fire truck, parked right there at the corner, and I could not see around it. I could not see behind it because it was long. It's dangerous. And that was 6 minutes into their project going. I don't know how it went for the rest of the day, but whoever's in charge of these people need to talk to them because that really did not go well with the move.
I suspect that should be something that the mayor should be able to have staff handle.
Who's in charge? Who's the staff in charge of this?
Well, it would normally be, on Public Works, but now it is put right on Richard.
Yep.
Oh, are you gonna go down the street down now?
Sure. What time were you there? It was really fast. I came in today at 7.
They start at 7.
Yeah.
I was at that stop tent, it was 7:05, 7:06. So they're 6 mixed into the job. And I kid you not, the guy is standing there holding a sign, cigarette in one hand, sign in the other, and he's talking to a girl. And I roll down the window, "Is it clear?" And his response was, "Duh." Not a good answer.
Well, that was a no.
Well, apparently,
Maybe.
when I went to pull out, there was a part-time. So,
Yeah,
they need to.
we'll look into it.
There are established standards for flagging, and I'm sure our contract says they're supposed to be following them, so I think staff probably should have the leverage.
Well, and also, the way he responded was not fun.
Well, we've been at work for 10 minutes already, he needed a break.
I think it was like
I experienced almost an identical.
this morning.
Once this morning, and once during the afternoon, and I've never seen such unprofessional
Did you stop and say, "Duh"?
second time.
Okay.
You know, it was pathetic.
Did you,
I agree.
yeah, duh.
Well, we'll be made.
Sorry.
Did someone not eat their weed?
Duh and talk to the hand are two things that I just can't do.
Did you have your second cup of coffee?
I was working on it.
All right, and, If we can trust staff to take care of that one, let us know how it goes. Next item on our agenda is executive session for collective bargaining per RCW 42-30-144A for 15 minutes.
Can I make a quick statement?
Do we need 15 minutes?
No, 5. We can do it quick.
Is it possible that we can add something? I forgot to add it to the agenda. Can I add something? Does anybody care? Mine? It takes 1 minute.
I will add item J to the agenda.
One of the issues that I have, and I've heard it from a couple other people, is council members come into the meeting when they've missed a prior meeting, they don't have a clue what went on at the meeting, and we get a lot of repeating of what went on. Can we make it some kind of a rule, whatever, that either they have to talk to Amy to read the minutes or listen to the audio? Because some of these meetings can last way longer than they need to, because we have to keep going over and repeating things instead of the prior. What?
I'm looking at Clint.
What? Why are you looking at Clint? Anyway.
My pet peeve.
Well, it is just, I think it would make things flow a little bit better if you're gonna miss a meeting. Amy has minutes, or she has the audio. Or they can even go to Jeannie's site and watch the video if they need, popcorn, watch movies.
I think you make a recommendation.
Yeah, can we recommend, or maybe move it forward to vote on it, I don't know, what have you? Put it in the rules, do something, but it's just, some of these meetings.
I think we need to have access to,
Yeah.
to listen to the recording. It requires access to the server, and not all council members have it, so.
They'll have to come in.
I feel that, no, you have to have access on, you can log in, but when you try to access it, it doesn't make the connection. So I feel it's set up for it.
Or I can log in under my computer, listen to it.
You have to come down to City Hall to do it, then basically, what you're saying?
Pretty simple, just to call Amy, I do it whenever I'm done.
We can either literally.
Okay, then we are up to our executive session for collective bargaining per RCW 42-30-148 for 5 minutes. With no